I had gone back and forth on whether or not I wanted to release a normal episode on September 11th or if I wanted to do a solo episode instead. I'm a very patriotic woman. I love America. I love our country. I love that this is a place where people have been able to build incredible businesses, build beautiful lives. And it's been a place that is so dynamic and so diverse, and a place that so many wonderful people have got to call home. I was 24 years old on 9/11. I'd been in New York literally 2 days prior. And had I had more money, I would have stayed. I remember waking up that morning. One of my friends who had a job that required her to be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning started calling me as the news had already broken because the first plane had hit the first tower. I ended up getting up, turning on the news, being stuck there, going into the office to only be turned back around and told to just stay home. And I ended up at a coffee shop that afternoon with some people that lived in my neighborhood. And we were all just silent and speechless. Yet there was something about being together with other Americans that made the most tragic day feel a little more united. We are all Americans. We should be loving each other. We should be caring about each other. The way that the country came together after 9/11 was a beautiful sight to see. There were so many amazing songs that came out that people of all races, of all genders, of all sides of politics came together to sing. There were so many people who were just caring about their neighbors, regardless of where they were from or who they voted for. And it was such a great moment in time coming together in the face of such a horrific, tragic event. As time has gone on, I've always thought about that day and memorialized it in some way. So I was a little uncertain. I thought maybe I should just do a quick solo episode, talk a little bit about that, and, weave in some of my thoughts on how I view America as someone who's traveled the world as extensively as I have. But then I kept thinking more about the show and about the episodes that I've got ready to release to share with all of you. And I thought I could do both. I could share my memorials. I could share the things that I feel are hopeful when we're on the 9/11 anniversary. And I can still put out the episode that I had wanted to release this week. But then as I was editing a reel, I heard news that Charlie Kirk had been shot. It came from a text message from a friend. And so I immediately Googled it because I needed to know what that actually meant. A couple of minutes later, I was forwarded a video that nobody should ever have to see. And unfortunately, it's all over the internet. And unfortunately, there were hundreds of college kids that saw that live and in person today. And they will never be able to unsee that. Hearing that Charlie had passed, I broke down absolutely sobbing. I did not know him in person, but I've followed his work for years. He started a movement unlike anything else, and he lived and breathed that movement as he was always out having conversations, having dialogue, wanting to speak to people that thought differently than him. And today, he was murdered for that. And it is so senseless and it is so tragic. And I know that my heart breaks as much as many hearts do across our nation tonight. I think that the thing that we're missing, though, is while, yes, he obviously was very vocal about his political views, his mission was to have discourse. His mission was to get people talking to one another, to get them to understand differences of ideas and differences of thought and differences of why we are so divided right now as a nation. It's devastating that we are at a point in time where a difference of opinion is cause for somebody to murder somebody else. And to see some of the comments, some of the posts, some people that are cheering over his death, I, I, I don't even have any words. I saw a post today that really resonated with me, and it was, I'm totally paraphrasing, but it said something like, pay attention to who's saying what, because you'll really find out who people are. And some of the things that I have seen are just awful. For whatever reason, outrage is a big topic, and people talking and saying, well, if you didn't get outraged over this, being outraged over Charlie's death doesn't matter, or you're not allowed to be. Since when? Since when can I not be outraged about something and vocalize my outrage? And just because, according to you, I wasn't vocally outraged enough about something else, that I can't express that outrage and that I'm wrong for that and I should be judged for that? Yes, nobody should be killed over their political beliefs. Nobody. Nobody. But to say that those of us who are outraged about this, and if you didn't see us vocally outraged about another politically motivated murder, that I can't be outraged about this, that doesn't make any sense. This is not about left versus right. This is not red versus blue. This is humanity versus inhumanity. This is Americans. And unfortunately, it's Americans versus Americans. What are we doing? We're killing each other over a difference of political opinion. We're scrolling by it on TikTok or X and watching these videos. And then the next video is maybe somebody dancing or making a cake. This isn't what we're meant to do. This isn't what we're meant to see. These things should not be happening. We have rights as Americans, and freedom of speech is one of our rights. And you have every right to believe what it is that you want to believe, but you can't tell somebody else that they're wrong because they believe differently than you. That's the beauty of being an American. That's the beauty of the freedom of speech that we have. You don't have to be friends with everybody that thinks differently than you. You don't have to like them. You don't have to listen to them. But you also can't kill them. We have become so okay with life being disposable because of a difference of opinion. And that has to stop. Somewhere along the way, critical thinking became something that people laughed at and turned their nose at. When I was a kid, if I didn't know the answer to something, I was told to go look it up. I was told to go educate myself. And in those days, that meant using the resources that I had at my disposal. Perhaps it was a dictionary. Perhaps it was an encyclopedia. Most oftentimes, it was my library card. But we weren't made fun of for researching topics. We weren't made fun of for critically thinking. We were encouraged to do so. And now, with social media and everybody having an opinion on everything, whether it's factually correct or not, we have people that just so blatantly and flippantly and easily share different thoughts and different ideas, whether they're true or not. And now we're seeing people killed, murdered, because their thoughts don't agree with yours. So I ask again, when did this become okay? I don't know, but I do believe that this is going to be a massive turning point in our country. And the fact that Charlie Kirk's organization was named Turning Point USA is not lost on me. So I think this is going to be a massive turning point for our country, because now more than ever, we need to come together. We need to put these differences aside and stop hating each other simply because we think differently. We need to do what Charlie did and have conversations with one another. We need to understand why people believe the way they do, why people think what they think, why people are so adamant on one side and the other side is equally as adamant. So that's all. My heart, my prayers, my tears are with Charlie Kirk and his entire family. He was a son, he was a husband, he was a father, he was a friend. He was only 31 years old. So, rest in peace, Charlie, and you will not be forgotten.